Hi, so we're in Copenhagen with American entrepreneur Savannah Peterson, doing an interview about diversity, inclusion, and a little bit about mental health.
Yes.
Can't get away from that.
One of our favorite topics.
Yeah.
And something that you and I have a lot of experience with.
For sure.
It is really good to be back here in Copenhagen and so nice to see you. It's been way too long. We've known each other 5-6 years now?
Yeah, for sure. Yeah.
Yeah, I love that. Oh my gosh, was the first time Copenhagen Business School?
Yeah, when you give a talk. It was a really good talk.
Oh, thank you. Yeah, it feels really special to be back here. You know, I'm a huge fan of Denmark and of Copenhagen. The innovation scene here, it's just magical. So I'm excited for our chat.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah.
But first things first, what's so appealing about Copenhagen as a foreign business person who can give talks and work with people anywhere?
Oh man, so many things appealing about Denmark. From an innovation perspective, the Danes are incredibly innovative, and I feel like nature and sustainability comes first in that innovation here in a way that you see only in places like New Zealand or other parts of the world that are a little more ecologically centric.
Yeah.
And I think I was just at the Danish Architecture Center today earlier, and the way that they think about buildings that go up the canopy and put you into the trees in the rainforest. I don't know, you see this sort of holistic approach to design and innovation, both in the technology side. There was a huge life sciences section to Tech Barbecue where I was this week. There were a lot, you were there too. There were a lot of different sections. And I think that's what's really great is in other countries where I spend time, there can be a very capitalistic focus on success. The only measure of success is how much is my company worth, how much venture capital have I raised, and how many products am I selling. And I feel like in Denmark, and with all the companies I talk to, it's about providing real solutions for real people, but also, am I doing this in a sustainable way that creates tech or solutions for the future longer term, or is this gonna be a very and am I thinking about the next generation or the materials? And it's really refreshing. It's a very different type of technological ecosystem. And I find that everyone here is extremely supportive of each other. In smaller countries, I think it's you versus the world to a degree, whereas like in the United States, it's me versus everyone in the US and then us against the world.
Yeah.
So it's a different sort of competitive ecosystem. And I love that we're in a place where everyone's so supportive.
And how did you find Tech Barbecue this time around?
Oh my gosh, Tech Barbecue is one of my favorite events. Thank you so much, Anvit, Kay, Sam. Shout out to you guys, you're the best. Really appreciate being invited back. Last time I spoke at Tech Barbecue was 2018, and being here this year was really special. The event has grown a lot. I was impressed back then. I'm even more impressed now. There were 7,500 attendees. Over 50% of the speakers were female or non-binary, which is a really big deal for someone like me who's been on a lot of panels, events, shows, everything that's just completely dominated by white men in particular. Love white men, but also would love to see other faces and demographics represented more fully. And I thought that was really refreshing. And I was actually joking with the organizers of Tech Barbecue that this is a big deal and a funny one. This is the first time I've had to wait in line for the ladies' room at a tech conference. Normally, the big shows I go to, particularly in the US, the line for the men's room is super long, and I'll just walk right in, which is great. You know, it's opposite of normal life, really. And this time around, I really had to and there were enough bathrooms, it's not like they didn't plan well, but I really had to think about it and say, oh gosh, you know, I'm not just gonna be able to walk in like I do every tech conference. There's gonna be other ladies, you know, getting cleaned up and going to the bathroom. So I thought that was even just a cultural indicator beyond the speaker lineup being so diverse. The attendee lineup was really diverse, and it was just a super great time. I also love that Tech Barbecue has partnered with South Pole to make investments in renewable projects outside of their event. So this has made Tech Barbecue now carbon neutral, and even the event app Brella was or has committed to donating or planting one tree per every 10 meetings that happen through the app at Tech Barbecue.
Oh, I didn't even know that.
Yeah, so it's very cool. So the event's sustainable, the attendees are extremely diverse. Kind of speaking to what we were talking about before, I think Tech Barbecue really represents what is so special about Danish innovation. And Yeah, I mean, I bet you got some energy out of it. What did you think?
I was I had a little different mission because I was trying to hunt down some work.
Oh yeah? Well, how was that? Okay, that's a great question for you then.
Yeah.
How was it as a job seeker?
It was amazing. I was there like in two capacities, and I actually got two tickets. One as the media and one
Right.
as tech talent.
Oh, cool.
So I was like, I set up 6 meetings on the first day, and I thought they were all business meetings for me, but some of them was also people who indirectly wanted an article about them. And
Oh, cool.
so it ended up being very win-win, and I've set up a couple of interviews for articles, but also hunted down some commission kind
Yeah,
of
some potential work.
Yeah, and you never know how it is different with people with cultures, because in some cases I thought I had a deal like in line, but then afterwards they're like, oh, we just have to review things. So sometimes I don't know if people are like too polite to say maybe it's not a fit, and it's when people are coming from other countries, so you have to take that into account as well.
Yeah. No, I think that's a good point. I was curious, did you feel like there were a lot of people hiring there?
Yeah, I mean, when I'm usually looking for work, I'm only looking in Copenhagen, right?
Yeah.
For the most part. And then it can be a bit boxed in, and they might have some very specific ideas about, I don't know, my background, my last name, whatever it might be.
Yeah.
But there can be like more open-minded people in other countries. Not that Danes aren't open-minded, but just in my specific field, I feel like sometimes, first of all, Danes are really good at English.
Yes.
And another thing is
they are. Shout out to all y'all. It's impressive.
Yeah. But I had encountered sometimes that you might not want to have someone with a funny last name editing your English content.
Interesting.
But that's just my experience.
Yeah, hey, I mean, we all have our unique perspectives. I'm sorry to hear that. I would let you edit any of my stuff. You're an outstanding writer. So
Thank you.
that is for sure. But, that's so fun. So do you think you'll follow up with some of the people after?
Yeah, I'll make sure to.
Yeah,
I'll
that's
take the
great.
initiative to.
How many times have you been to Tech Barbecue?
My first one.
This was your first?
Yeah.
Oh my gosh!
And
wow.
I was so worn out after day one, I couldn't go for day two.
You know, it's I don't blame you. I mean, it's a lot. They had, I don't even know how many stages, 7 or 8 stages, maybe even more than that. And I'm sure you saw, I actually thought this was really interesting. Did you see the silent disco style presentation?
Yeah. I attended a couple of
It's my
those.
first time as a presenter in headphones and a microphone. Very focused experience, and made it an interesting challenge to interact with the audience. But I felt like the people who were part of your audience were 100% committed. It was very focused as a result of that. And especially, I mean, we get tired at events like this. There's a lot of noise and a lot of things going on and conversations you're overhearing. And I thought that was a fun, very unique element to the whole experience.
Yeah. And it's very mental health friendly because
Totally.
I was just thinking, it's no secret I was hospitalized last summer. And I was hospitalized with someone who had PTSD, and I saw him in the news, and he said when he goes, to the amusement park Tivoli, he can't go. He has a son, and he can't go because it's loud.
It's too loud. I believe that.
Yeah. So it's something I took into account afterwards.
Yeah, I think that's a really good point. I was thinking about that a lot too, and I hope he finds maybe some paths through headphones or something so he can go, because that's a shame. But I'm a neurodiverse person. It's no secret, like you just phrased it, no secret that I'm super dyslexic, and I can get very overwhelmed by too much noise like that as well. And I thought it was great to be able to focus when I wanted to focus, or even just have a little me time, versus take off my headphones when I was ready to engage with people or go meet a speaker. And I thought there was a lot of sensitivity and accommodation made for neurodiverse, for any sort of ablement, and just all the different types of diversity that was walking through that door and coming to hang out.
Yeah, you would have loved studying in Denmark, because when I was studying, I didn't have dyslexia, but I had a very specific tic, and it's connected to something called depersonalization.
Okay.
So when I would open a book, I would slam it shut.
Oh, yeah.
And I was in a university studying a master's degree, and 99% of the times I open a book, I just do like this.
Yeah.
So they have this offer for people with special conditions, including dyslexia, where you can just get unlimited audiobooks for free.
Oh, wow.
E on audiobooks. and you get a budget. So if you have like a textbook that you want to have a speaker read out for you,
Yeah.
you got a budget of 50,000 kronas where you can get as many
Oh my
audiobooks read out for
gosh.
you as possible.
Wow. That's really amazing. I love to hear that. That
Yeah.
just makes me really happy.
Yeah.
And we all learn different ways, and it sounds like your education experience was respectful of that, and I felt like Tech Barbecue was. I also thought it was really cool, and this is very different. So, I mean, I go to a lot of events. Some of the events I go to are 70,000 people. Amazon's
Whoa.
events.
Yeah.
The Consumer Electronics Show in Las Vegas is 120,000, 180,000, depending on who you ask.
Yeah.
And being a part of a very large conference for Scandinavia, but one where there was still a sense of family and
Yeah, for
cohesion,
sure.
it felt very easy to just go up and talk to somebody new. And the organizers did a really good job and made a little kind of cute little VIP fun group for those of us who were speakers to be able to connect with each other and both support each other on our panels as well as go out in wonderful Copenhagen.
Yeah.
I don't even mind that it's raining right now. It feels great. It's actually pleasant. It's been a little humid today.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I had a question I wrote down for you, and that was, people often talk about the American dream, right?
Yeah.
But then there's also, some people have mentioned the Danish dream because there's so much support for entrepreneurs, funding, and
Yes.
when you're unemployed, you can get unemployment for 2 years, and they support you doing entrepreneurship. And
Which is awesome.
yeah, and there's such a safety net, right? So do you see anything about
Oh my God,
the
it's
Danish
so
dream?
different. It's so different. And yeah, no, I do think that's very different. I think that's a great point that you just brought up. Even when you and I talked, I remember you telling me about the unemployment piece and how
Yeah.
you were still able to explore. And in the United States, for example, there's no financial support for if you decide to shift away from a conventional job and start a company.
Yeah.
You're on your own. That's
Yeah.
coming out of your pocket, or you're raising venture capital. There are not, outside of certain cities with co-working spaces that are kind of supportive, there is nowhere near the level of government or infrastructure support for companies. I mean, I've seen more Danish people over in delegations in the United States coming over to the Silicon Valley to check it out than pretty much any other country. New Zealand is probably the only other nation I've seen where the government invests as much in innovation and entrepreneurship as Denmark does.
Yeah.
But it changes the game for those early stage entrepreneurs.
Yeah.
Once your company is big enough, the world is kind of your oyster and it's a little bit different. There are so many companies that fail between 0 to 1 or 0 to 10 or that very first little jump because they don't have the resources or the mentorship or the access, say, to getting over to America for a meeting. And it's been so fun over the years. I've actually hosted 30, I think over 30 now, Danes at my very small but lovely oceanfront apartment in San Francisco
Yeah.
for dinners, and we've had the Innovation Center over there, and just a lot of different folks who have come over for conferences. So if you are an aspiring Dane who wants to start a company, you're really in a great spot for it. I
Yeah.
do think the Danish dream is real. I
Yeah.
think that start asking for help. There's a lot of help available. I know you are a great example of that. You're the first person to be like, oh, I'm going to check this out, or I'm going to find this money, or I'm going to do this thing, or I'm going to write about this. And you are a living example of the Danish dream.
Right. And also on the mental health side, like if I had to be hospitalized for 4 months in the US, I think I would have gone broke.
Yeah, I don't think we'd be sitting here having this conversation.
Yeah.
And it's sad, so I'm so glad you're here.
Yeah.
But it is a thing. I mean, I think that there's so much that we fail to do, despite being this nation that is really glamorized in entrepreneurship and capitalism. Yes, Silicon Valley's great. Of course, there's a lot of venture capital, a lot of really brilliant people, and a lot of people who do help each other. Ecosystem is totally cool. But in terms of the infrastructural support, the U.S. government would never do anything for me as an entrepreneur. The only thing the U.S. government wants from me as an entrepreneur is my tax dollars.
Right.
And especially as a Californian. So it's really nice to see how many people are involved and committed to the success of creativity here.
Yeah. I
Yeah.
had a question about that as well. Let me find it.
Cool.
What have you learned about the Danes that you would tell people who are looking to invest or move here?
They're so welcoming. Just deeply welcoming. I think I was just telling a friend this morning, I feel really at home here.
Yeah.
And I mean, granted, I've got a little Scandinavian heritage, but I'm not Danish and many generations removed. It's just, I mean, well, two very obvious reasons. hygge. It's a
Yeah.
cozy place, and that carries over into the atmosphere. I mean, for those watching who maybe don't know what hygge is, it's the feeling of cozy. It's a sense of coziness, an atmosphere of cozy. But I feel like cozy carries into both the way that friends treat each other as well as how the innovation networks are. Everyone says, hey, come on in, you're welcome, and we want you to feel comfortable. I mean, we are sitting in the second happiest country on earth, something like that.
Yeah.
The happiness index is really high because people are taken care of. The social support and structure is here. There's a lot of opportunity. The food's amazing.
Yeah.
You guys have that figured out? Oh my gosh, I eat my way through Denmark. Thank goodness I walk and bike my way through Denmark too, or else I would turn into quite a cow. But I travel the world. I mean, as you know, I spend 90% of my time on the road, and there are a few places where I can just be walking down the street and stop to have a glass of wine or a cup of coffee and then get invited into other people's dinner.
Right.
And that happened my first night here. That happened, had some event stuff, and then the next night I went out by myself. I stopped for a glass of wine because I heard some jazz. The whole family who owns the restaurant invited me in, hung out. We hung out till the place closed. We came back for a jazz show. I brought all my friends the next day, and already that group of people, everyone at Funder, thank you. Looking at you guys, has invited and has made it clear that I'm always welcome here. That they'll look after me. My new friends as well as old friends here, but it's even fun with new friends if you're thinking about moving here. My new friends always check in with me every morning. Hey,
yeah.
are you okay? Do you need a recommendation for where to have lunch or what to do, or this is happening, you should go check it out? And I would love to think that most people everywhere around the world would be as welcoming as Danes, but I'm just not sure they are.
Yeah.
So I would say give it a shot, come out, put yourself out there, and get involved with some of these communities, and you'll find a home.
For sure. And
I would love to have the European part of my business here in Denmark.
Yeah, okay.
Yeah, that's something I think I want to make a goal.
Nice.
Yeah.
You just spoke it into existence.
Yes,
To start with.
you heard it first. Manifestation. Savvy Millennial office in Denmark soon. Yeah, no, I really would. I think it's a great hub, and it's close to everything while still having its own little vibe.
Yeah. And as someone who follows your content, I wanted to ask you what an accountability partner is, and why you think it's important to have one.
That's a great question. Thanks, Eric. My accountability, so I have an accountability partner, Jen Choi. Jen M. Choi is my accountability partner. And we hold each other accountable both for writing as well as content creation. We're both working on books. And the difference between a friend and an accountability partner, Jen is also my friend,
Yeah.
but when we're in accountability mode, is they're calling out your BS. If you say you want to get something done by, I want to have this published by next week, or I want to have the book proposal done by the end of the year, she's making sure I'm taking the steps to actually get that done.
Yeah.
And we meet weekly to check in and see how we can help each other, provide advice in that process. And Jen, it was actually really fun. Jen was here at Tech Barbecue. I interviewed her husband on stage, which is a really fun full circle thing. He's a Danish founder of Cobalt.io, Jacob Hansen, very smart guy. And so that felt really cool to see my accountability partner in the audience. I'm interviewing her husband. I've got my Danish friends in the audience, really feeling like a global citizen. But it's another thing I advise people to do. And Jen lives in Berlin. So Jen and I don't live in the same country. Your accountability partner doesn't need to live where you live. But having someone who you can say, I want to achieve this goal, who isn't your boss, or an employee, and I want your help doing it, is really special. We've been accountability partners now for 7 years.
Oh, great.
So there's been hundreds of meetings and lots of content created. Her book's almost done. My book proposal is in the works. She's a little farther.
Nice.
She's a little more organized than I am. Okay? Jen is the organizer, and I am the fluid reminder that you're beautiful and creative side of this whole thing. So it's something that's great. Do you have an accountability partner?
I need to get one.
I feel like you would do really well with one.
Yeah,
Because
yeah.
you're such a creator.
Right.
Yeah, I think it would be cool.
Yeah. I'll speak that into my existence.
Yes, exactly. I've got the Danish office coming. You've got an accountability partner coming. I'm going to try and get this book proposal done by the end of the year, which is a really bold claim, but I'm going to say it so that maybe it happens.
Yeah, for sure.
That's the goal. Yeah.
And this next question is very important to me, and it's what do you say to people who say if your mental health is like a work in progress, then you should like know your place and you shouldn't dream too big?
Ooh. I just got goosebumps when you said that, because you know how I feel about that. You know that you got a friend of me on the mental health front. I mean, my initial reaction to that is go fuck yourself, if that's what you say. Forget my language, everyone. I'll keep the swearing to a minimum. But that's like, frankly, I think most people struggle with mental health moments throughout the course of their life. And we're just not open and honest and vulnerable about it. And you and I have always had a relationship where we could talk to each other. You've been in and out of hospitalization, different medications. I had to step aside from work because I was losing my mind last year, quite literally, and am happy to be back now. But I think that the stigma is so false. There is no such thing as perfection. There is no such thing as rainbows and sunshine all the time as we stand here in this glorious Danish downpour, or sit here rather, and I would encourage those people to ask themselves why they feel that way. Why do they feel that someone who's honest about the interesting and challenging things going on in their brain any less than someone who pretends to have it figured out? I mean, in the US, we always say, whole fake it till you make it. We talk about imposter syndrome, but the reality is those guys are nut jobs. We have a lot of narcissists, extreme sociopathic narcissists running the largest companies in the world. That's not a good thing. And that doesn't lead to promoting great business for everybody else, because they're looking at these crazy guys. I think you all know who I'm talking about, these megalomaniacs, especially Americans, and they just don't care who gets hurt with work. They don't care what happens, and that's not fair. That's not promoting a healthy entrepreneurial ecosystem. A healthy ecosystem is where we not only have diversity in our skin color and our religious beliefs and our gender and our sexual identity and all of that stuff. It's that we have diversity in our brains and we're neurodiverse. And I mean, I really felt the discrimination when I was younger. I was born lefty, turned righty. They tied my left hand behind my back.
I didn't know they still did that.
Well, they don't anymore, but they did when I'm showing my age, but they did when I was a kid. And they also, I mean, as a dyslexic learner, people thought I was stupid. I could memorize things, so I was actually okay on the reading side, but with math, everybody looked at me like I was dumb all the time and would pull me aside and and thankfully I was charming and good at other stuff to kind of balance it. But I look at so many learners who have missed out on the chances to create or be great because they didn't have the exact same cognitive connection or mental stability that some people do, that sort of kind of call the shots. And I think, I don't know. I just wish, what I would tell those people, I mean, I'll be nice to them to go fuck yourself, but I would tell them, open your minds, talk to someone who's experiencing a mental health challenge, and then decide if you really don't think they belong. Because I think it's easy to hate or discriminate against an idea. I think it's impossible to truly hate a face or a person.
Right.
So.
Because I was
just gonna put this in here. It's
all right. Oh.
Just gonna. We might need to. Do you want to move this inside?
Yeah, let's do that.
Yeah. Woo. Okay. Wait. Should we do like a little close out here just in case?
Okay.
So since the weather has come upon us, Eric and I are gonna move inside and hopefully dry out a little bit. Yeah. But thanks for tuning in so far, Case. Yeah, of course. Thanks. I don't want your phone to get too wet.
Yeah.